Let's talk about the Karine Jean-Pierre of it all. Karine Jean-Pierre being on this book tour is actually genuinely like pushed me up a wall. And the reason why her being on this book tour has with me is because Karine Jean-Pierre knows damn well, like every single time I see her being interviewed about this damn book, it's just a bunch of platitudes. And it kind of shows how there are people in the Democratic Party that are willing to co-opt revolutionary or activist or organizing language when in reality they themselves are not doing shit.
So in the book, you're arguing that we need to break the two-party system mold. You say that you now identify as an independent. And yet in the book, you still do spend much of your time defending Democratic leadership and pushing back against the concerns of the Democratic base.
And this is what makes her a really good communications expert, but a terrible, terrible person to have a conversation with, and somebody that is very unserious in this moment. Karine knows what people want to hear. She understands that a lot of people want to hear fighting words.
When I came out of the administration after January 20th with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, I was hearing from people. People were coming up to me, and some of them were crying. They were fearful. They were scared. And they were saying to me and asking questions, what are we going to do? What's happening with the Democratic Party? Why is no one fighting back? Why weren't they prepared? And that was the part of the catalyst of me wanting to write a book now as a private citizen, trying to give voice and saying the quiet stuff out loud and give a roadmap for Americans out there who are trying to figure out how do we get our politicians, this political party, to actually wake up and be held accountable as well.
And she understands that a lot of black women like me, do feel as though that the Democratic Party have left us behind because it is no longer fashionable to give a fuck about black people in America now. So a lot of individuals in the Democratic Party have decided that they want to go ahead and chase after Charlie Kirks and shit, but they do not give a fuck about the niggas that brought them to the dance. So I understand what she's saying, and that's what really irritates me, because these are really important things that we should be having conversations about. The words that she's saying do represent the feelings that people have, but it feels very empty coming from her. And the reason why it feels empty coming from her, in my opinion, is because Karine is not a serious individual. I don't know exactly how to say this, but it feels as though she's co-opting my culture. And I don't like that. A lot of the language that she's using, it seems as though it's like, yeah, let's get these niggas out of here. Like, and the thing that keeps fucking with me is she's using all of this language and all of these words and as a way to directly kiss Joe Biden's ass. Like, Karine is literally saying, oh, I'm a black queer woman and it was so hard for me, and that's why the Democratic Party needed to stick with Joe Biden. Some people may be like, you're mischaracterizing her argument. Am I really? Because the linear logic that I've been following on all of these interviews that she's been doing is, whether on The Bulwark or NPR or with Don Lemon, her argument of the case has literally been, I am now an independent because in the 2024 elections, the Democrats did not kiss Joe Biden's old wrinkly ass. So therefore, I am an independent.
Boy, stop being weird. God damn.
The Democrats turn their backs on a bunch of these groups. They have no backbone. And that's why in 2024, they gave up on Joe Biden. And now I'm an independent. I am going to go fucking crazy. Whatever she's saying, it just seems like she's talking in circles and it seems like nothing makes sense. Because let's build out her argument. I am a black queer woman that the Democratic Party has left behind. I feel as though I am not being listened to. Okay then, Karine, can you explain to us why you and the Biden White House actively campaigned against Kamala Harris and were leaking stories about Kamala? Maybe not you specifically, but can you explain to us, since you are the communications director for the Biden folks?
A couple of things I want to get to, but let's just talk about, being a black woman and feeling like, maybe black women, the base of the party, aren't being heard. And obviously Kamala Harris ended up being the nominee for the Democratic Party, a black woman last time. She also has a book out, 2 books happening right now, 107 Days. In that book, she talks about how she felt like she was sidelined by your big boss, really, by Joe Biden, and a lot of times wasn't set up to succeed in her role as vice president, and points some fingers at others in the Biden administration about that. I wonder what you made of what Kamala's book, within her book, and what she said about that in particular.
So I want to first say that I admire Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris. I think she is a force. Her leadership, certainly in that 107 days, was so impressive, and she did something historic.
And because you want to come and do a crusade on behalf of a nigga that did not give a fuck about anybody but himself, explain to us. You are so pro-black women and so pro-diversity politics right now, when prior to the 2024 election, the Joe Biden White House was constantly throwing Kamala Harris under the bus and literally feeding into the narrative that she was a DEI hire. Why is nobody pressing her about that? Kamala Harris is a black woman, right? Kamala Harris ran as a black woman. The way that the Biden administration talked about black women and diversity in 2024 is not the same way that they talked about it in 2021. In 2024, they were actively leaking stories, being extremely dismissive of Kamala Harris. So yeah, Joe Biden might have been nice to you and Ketanji Brown Jackson, but we do need to go ahead and talk about the fact that that White House actively campaigned against the first black female vice president of the United States. And in the Don Lemon interview, she's literally saying, I'm watching the Don Lemon interview, and she constantly keeps talking about how Kamala has the right to tell her story. Kamala needs to tell her story. We stand behind Kamala telling her story. And then Don is like, did you read the book? And she's like, oh.
That's just a reality.
Let me just ask you, do you think they serve the vice president well? Do you think the Joe Biden administration served the vice president well?
So I'll say this. I have not read the vice president's book. I am incredibly proud of her leadership and what she was able to accomplish, not just as vice president, obviously at the top of the ticket as the nominee. And I'm glad she wrote her book. I think it's important that we hear her truth and we hear her voice. And I think we have to learn from what she is sharing in this book. And all I can speak to is for me and what I was hopefully able to do for her, especially when she was running for president at the podium and defending her, some moments even going viral. And
So you see, that's what I'm saying. You're just saying words. You're just saying words. Because if you read that damn book, you would understand that Kamala is not a friend of yours. Like Karine Jean-Pierre, great yapper. Great yapper, just yapping nonstop. Her job, her professional job has been to talk out of her neck her entire life. But that's also her problem. She just be yapping. Like, what do you mean? Did you even take in any of the feedback that Kamala Harris had for the Biden administration? No, you didn't. If you read that woman's book, you would understand how much bullshit y'all put her through. But because everybody in the Biden administration actively dick rides each other, we've gotten to a place where a lot of them are trying to cover for each other and justify for each other. Like, can she keep that book? I don't want no more books from the Biden administration. Kamala was the only book I wanted. Everybody else, pack up your fucking books. No more books. It is crazy to me that we are literally existing in a world that Joe Biden helped create. And the Biden folks are coming out trying to sell us books talking about how we need systemic change. My nigga, you got me here. You got me here. You cannot systemic change your way. Shut up. Shut up. And this is why the Democratic Party has been held captive by the same 5 consultants. No Hillary Clinton 2016 conspiracy or anything. But a lot of these Democratic consultants, they know how to shapeshift. They do. They do. They know how to go and do 1, 1, 2, 2 on you. The entire Joe Biden White House is filled with characters from The Boys. Everybody knows how to shapeshift. Please be wary of people like Karine Jean-Pierre. Like, I really wanted to like Karine Jean-Pierre. And I've given her so many different moments because I'm like, you're a dark-skinned black woman just trying to get through this. And when she was talking about her experience with the press, I was like, yes, call those racist bigots out. Especially Jake Tapper and that big-ass forehead. Call them out. But at the same time, me standing alongside you to call out these racist reporters does not mean I am going to let you get off scot-free for the bullshit that you and the Biden administration helped put us in. You need to be held to account as well, mamas. Also, side note, let me just say this. Can a lot of y'all stop talking about her hair? You guys are really weird. Y'all think y'all are giving her a compliment, but it just shows how weird and anti-black a lot of you are. Stop talking about that woman's hair. It's weird. Like, I'm seeing so many people compliment her hair. Mind you, all she did was get a silk press. Silk press and a few bundles. Leave her hair alone. This is so fucking weird.